Welcome to Before the Edit. This is Sarah. Have you ever been labeled as too intense? Have you been told you're too much, that you shock people with what you say, that you escalate things? Today I want to talk about that part of myself because I have it. For a long time I was focusing mainly on how wrong I felt. Because when others label you as too anything, it feels like you've got a serious problem, right? A personality flaw, an island of the misfit toys worthy trait, which leads to an immediate, I've got to fix this or I won't be allowed here. I might be being a little bit dramatic here. Imagine that. If you recognize this in yourself, this intensity, or if you've experienced it in someone else, this might be worth listening to. Today, I'm exploring how intensity can stop us from our greatness. It can stagnate our lives, and it can also be one of the strongest forces we carry in its exalted or flow state form. So everything has two sides. Everything. Yin and yang, good and bad, right and wrong. I want to show you that the best vantage point is overlooking both of these and watching them somewhere above in the middle of the pendulum while it moves back and forth between these two polarities, between the little devil and the angel, so to speak. So let's talk about the shadow side first. When someone with this intensity quality gets stuck in it or moves to the little devil side, it can look like, do you want a piece of me? It provokes. It might poke at someone's sore spot or create shock to prove how strong it is. It turns a molehill into a mountain or makes a 5-minute issue into a 5-hour war. It can create tension to feel powerful. This can look like the gym trainer who humiliates a client to motivate them, or the salesperson using domination energy. Sometimes it's a manager who rules through fear, and sometimes it's pushing too hard in a conversation because we want to win. At a larger scale, it can look like leaders who invent a crisis to stay relevant, public figures who provoke outrage to feel significant, executives who create pressure so they remain the strongest person in the room. But shadow intensity doesn't only show up in confrontation. It can show up in feelings. It can look like obsession, jealousy, or possessiveness, or even over-identifying with a relationship or a project, with self-talk like, if this fails, I fail. Or panic if someone pulls away. It can look like loving so hard that you lose yourself, working so hard that your entire identity depends on the outcome. You can be told, you're too attached. What they're often reacting to is depth. Depth without direction can drown you, or them. So these are all examples of the quality of intensity on the shadow side, the stagnation side, the side people or you see as wrong with you, or maybe don't see it at all. But this is what intensity looks like when it's disconnected from purpose, from you being the best you can be. You have the capacity to do more than just this. So why do we go there? The intense one is rarely weak or fragile. They're usually wired for courage. Courage is intensity, and intensity is energy. But intensity without direction becomes a loose cannon. Energy with direction can change lives. It can save lives. So now let's move to the exalted side, the superpower side. When intensity is in alignment, it can look like this. It can be a firefighter running toward danger, an emergency nurse staying calm in a crisis, the coach who pushes someone past fear, not to humiliate them, but to strengthen them. It's a leader who steps into a hot mess, into hard change. And it's the person who says the thing no one wants to say. Not to dominate, but to wake people up, pointing out the elephant in the room, leading to open mouths, maybe slight smiles, and that internal relief of, oh, thank God someone said it. Aligned intensity doesn't create chaos. It creates initiation. It says, this is the moment we grow, or this is where we level up. The buck stops here, or I can't stay small anymore. It's a threshold that gets crossed. Now let's look at emotional intensity and alignment, because the emotions are another aspect. When it's anchored, conscious, and expansive, intensity shows up as devotion, loyalty, dedication. It becomes the person who doesn't skim the surface of love and doesn't half commit. The one who stays in a hard conversation instead of walking away. Or who builds something for years while others quit. The one who protects what matters with everything they have. That is a capacity. It's a depth, and not everyone has it. So, what's the difference between the two sides if we take the view from above the pendulum? It isn't force, and it isn't personality. Although people love to stick you with labels, we even do it to ourselves. The difference is motive. Why are we going to intensity? Why are we going there in the first place? I've started working with this differently. If I notice my intensity escalating, if I can manage to just stop and check in with myself, I ask, am I escalating to prove myself? Or is this me stepping forward because something needs to change? That's the line. Am I proving, or does something need to change? If I'm proving, I'm going to the dark side, the shadow side, the little devil. And if something needs to change, I have to remember I may never be thanked for it, but I will be recognized for it. And recognition feels very different than applause. So if you've been called too intense, or if you know you're intense, but you're suppressing it, if you're slowly shrinking yourself because you think it's wrong, please know it's not bad. It's a capacity. I'm not asking you to shrink. I'm inviting you to examine where you direct it and where it might actually be your courage. Courage that keeps your life moving in the direction of your purpose. It might be the intensity that makes you, you. Because the thing that shocks people might be the thing that wakes them up. I'm practicing letting my intensity show up and trusting that the people who are meant for me will stay. I'm not supposed to try to keep them. And I know that sometimes my pendulum will swing to the little devil side, And I'm trusting myself to notice that and to ask more from myself and to be kind to myself while I do it.